talk about the 6 syllable types. Now, most of us adults understand syllables. We know that they are a part of a word or a word that has a vowel sound. And we learned growing up, I'm sure, how to clap out syllables. So for example, basketball, we probably learned to clap basketball, and we knew that was 3 syllables. That's something that's really common to teach kids all about syllables. But what's less common to teach kids is about the 6 syllable types. There are actually 6 different types of syllables in English, and we want to make sure that our kids understand these different types, how they are spelled and how they're pronounced, because it's going to help them so much on their reading and spelling journey. In case you're new here, my name is Erin. I'm from littleslovelearning.com. I'm a former classroom teacher turned parent reading coach. My job is to coach you and support you on your journey of teaching your child to read at home correctly and effectively based on the science of reading. And one of the ways I can do that is by explaining topics to you that you might not have learned growing up when you were learning how to read. I know I sure didn't learn about the 6 syllable types when I was in school, but you as the parent knowing this information, it's going to help so much when you're teaching your child how to read and spell, because you're going to have this background knowledge. You're going to understand how all of this is connected to getting our children to be strong readers and spellers. So today's episode is all about syllable types. Like I mentioned before, it's very common to teach about syllables in school. Most teachers will teach kids to clap out the syllables, but we want them to understand on a deeper level what a syllable is, that it's a word or a part of a word that has a vowel sound. It has to have that vowel sound. Now, one of the tricks I like to use to teach kids to hear syllables in words, clapping is okay and it can work for most kids, but some kids are not going to be able to tell when it's the syllable, and you'll say something like basketball and they're just basketball. They have no idea. They're just clapping along. So I do have an episode all about syllables and how you can help your kids hear them. I will link down below, but just very quickly, the 2 tricks that I like to use. One of them is the chin trick. So having your child put their fingers underneath their chin and saying a word and feeling how many times their chin drops down into their hands, because that is a syllable. A syllable is when we have a vowel sound, and with vowel sounds, we're opening our mouth and we're having our chin drop down. So in our example of basketball, my chin drops down 3 times. That's why there's 3 syllables. So it helps them to feel the syllables a little bit more instead of just clapping, because they might not be able to tell why they're clapping. The chin trick is really helpful. The other trick that I like to use is humming. So they keep their mouth closed, they don't open it, but they say the word and they feel how many times they wanted to open their mouth. How many times did they turn their voice box on to try to open their mouth? So in our example of basketball, as I say the word, I'm trying to open my mouth 3 times. I'm trying to get that sound out because those are our vowel sounds. So that's another way that you can help them hear the syllables in words. And you want to make sure that you are working on this all the time. It doesn't have to be in a formal reading lesson. It can be in the car. It can be when they're in the bath. It can be when they're eating lunch. You're just constantly helping them hear the syllables in words. And you want to make sure you're doing this way before they're even ready to learn about the 6 syllable types. You can help them hear the syllables super early. The first 2 syllable types that we teach kids, we usually introduce in pre-K and kindergarten. So these are the most basic. We have closed syllables and open syllables. A closed syllable is when we have the vowel sound, but there's a consonant that comes after the vowel, and it makes the vowel sound the short sound. So these are the words that we start kids on. We usually refer to these as CVC words, such as cat, bed, and stuff. Now we can also have multisyllabic closed syllable words. For example, napkin, basket, and magnet. These are when we have 2 closed syllables next to each other and we put them together to make that word, but they are still closed syllables. All of the vowels are short because there's a consonant after it. Now we compare that with an open syllable. An open syllable is when the syllable or the word ends with the vowel. There's no consonant after it, and it's going to produce the long vowel sound. So for example, I and A, the reason that we use the long vowel sound is because they don't have the consonant after it, so it's just that long vowel sound. And words like go, no, so, we teach those really early on in kindergarten, and we want kids to know the reason that the O is representing the long O sound is because it's an open syllable. There is no consonant after it to make the vowel short, so that's why it's the long vowel sound. We can also have an open syllable inside of a multisyllabic word. So we have open, robot, and music. Because of the way those words are broken up into their syllables, the first syllable for each of those words is an open syllable, and that's why it has the long vowel sound. The next two types of syllables that we have vowel-consonant-e, which is also called magic E, and we have vowel teams. Now, vowel-consonant-e, that magic E, is when we have a word that ends with a silent E, and the E is forcing the vowel to produce its long sound. So if I just had this word, C-A-K, it would be a short vowel A, k-ack, cack. But because I have that magic E here, that E is forcing the A to produce the long vowel sound, which is why it's the word cake. Same with time and mode. That magic E, that silent E at the end, is forcing the vowel to produce the long sound. We can also see this in multisyllabic words. So for example, in cupcake, we have a closed syllable, cup, and we have the magic E, cake, cupcake. We have compete and reptile. So multisyllabic words can have a mix of different syllable types. Now our vowel teams really can be tricky because there are so many different vowel teams and they represent the different vowel sounds, and kids need to learn all of these. So in these words here, we have boat, moon, and pie. Each of these words has a vowel team. Two vowels are working together to produce one sound. So in boat, the OA is working together to represent the O sound. In moon, the OO is working together to represent the oo sound. And in pie, the IE is working together to represent the long I sound. So it's important that kids understand the vowel teams, which vowels go together, and the sounds that they will represent. We can also have vowel teams in multisyllabic words. So we have teacup, poodle, and grounded. Each of those has a vowel team in one of the syllables, and so we want to make sure that kids understand what the vowel teams are and how to pronounce them. And our last two syllable types, we have consonant LE and we have R-controlled vowels. Now, consonant LE is really interesting. When there is a consonant followed by an LE, that is going to be its own syllable, but you don't actually hear a vowel sound. Even though I said earlier, every syllable needs to have a vowel sound. In consonant LE words, we have a vowel, it's the letter E, but it's silent. So the sound that we're producing sounds more like ooh. So for example, table. We just have the bull as our syllable. So even though we don't hear a vowel sound, it is a syllable on its own because it has this silent E and it's following this pattern. So we have turtle, cycle, we have handle, purple, and bugle. So all of these words are multisyllabic words, and that last consonant, or that last syllable has consonant LE. So even though it doesn't sound like it's a vowel sound, it is a syllable on its own because it's following this syllable type. And our last one, those R-controlled vowels, also called bossy R. These are super fun to teach. Bossy R sounds are R, and OR. We can spell the sound, ER, IR, UR. We can also spell it with OR. We spell the R sound with AR, and we spell the OR sound with OR. And so the reason these are special is because that R is being really bossy and it's changing the sound of the vowel before it. So the I in bird is no longer going to represent the I sound or the long I sound. They are working together, the IR, to represent So we have bird, nurse, form. We also have burger, order, and farmer. We can have these in multisyllabic words as well. So those R-controlled vowels, those bossy R words, they will change the vowel sound because that R is being very bossy. And just one more thing to note, written syllables and spoken syllables might be divided in different places. Sometimes they're divided in the same spot, but sometimes they're divided in different spots depending on how we produce the word, how we pronounce it. So you might come across words where the way you divide it in the written word feels different and it sounds different than the way you divide it in the spoken word, and that's totally normal. I hope this information was helpful for you today. I hope that you learned something new about the 6 syllable types, especially if this is something you didn't learn growing up in school. And I hope you're able to take this information and use it to teach your child about the 6 syllable types and why that's going to be helpful for them when they're learning how to read. I do have a video all about the open and closed syllables because those are the first ones we start with in pre-K and kindergarten. I will make sure to link that down below so you can check it out and see how I like to teach open and closed syllables and why it's super helpful, especially when kids are learning about high frequency words that they consider irregular. A lot of the times they're irregular because kids don't know about open and closed syllables. But once they learn about this, then those words are totally easily decoded and your child is going to be a much stronger reader. They'll be able to read those words much more easily once they know these rules. If you have any questions about this or anything else I share here, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on my website, littleslovelearning.com, or you can find me on social media. I'm active on Instagram and Facebook at Littles Love Learning Blog, and you can always leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you and hear about your experience learning how to read, and tell me if you learned about these 6 syllable types when you were in school. I'd be so curious to hear what your experience is. Until next time, happy learning. Bye.